So and you know, this thing is real. It's not.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's super real, and
I didn't even realize that it had its history with American Savings, Bank of America, Kalamai, yeah, Bank of America.
Right.
So, I mean, I do remember the court case against them. I think it was a discrimination case, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And us prevailing, but I didn't really understand or follow through on well, what was the judgment and what did they have to do? You know, except they got to loan Hawaiians money, and I don't know that everybody thought to go and pursue that. You know?
No, yeah, it was something that, and you know, I got to thank Hawaii Fair Lending Coalition. They were, you know, and Ian Chan Hodges, and at that time was Mark Hodges as well. And real solid brothers, local Kama'aina family, you know, been here a long time. Learned a lot from him, you know, through him about this issue.
Well, you know, looking at this, it's an excellent introduction, so mahalo nui for that. Yeah. And we know now that this idea, which is not just an idea, has a lot of meat to it. It's happening as we speak, which is maikai, I think. There is, you've done an excellent thing, which really was interesting on your website, and anybody who's interested in the website, it's bumpykanahele.com. So I encourage you to look at it because part of the information that he puts forward is an idea, since right now in our news today and currently permeating all the newspapers is a discussion on the Akaka bill. Bumpy does an excellent kind of a critique of what the Akaka bill offers us as Native Hawaiians and a Hawaiian community versus the idea and the actual Native Hawaiian Bank. Basically, the difference between financial dependency and financial independence. Right. And I thought this was interesting. We'll try, I don't know if we can put this up on the screen, but why don't we have a little discussion about what you have here? I think it's really interesting because I've always been against the Akaka bill from day one because I think it's just a sellout. You know, we don't get anything of what we should have, and so in looking at that, how do you tie the Akaka bill in with this Native Hawaiian Bank?
Well, the first thing with the Akaka bill is that it's totally dependent upon the United States government for federal funding from our health, housing, education, employment, all those things. And it's about time that if we're talking about self-determination, even domestic self-determination, like how this Akaka bill is headed, we still should not rely on federal funds. I think everybody's getting fat off the funding that comes in, and in our, you know, in this chart that I put together, it basically shows supporters that are involved in supporting the Akaka bill, and you know, when I think about it and how we're going back and forth with those that support the Akaka bill, if they could only understand that there is an alternative. I believe Keala, Judge Klein, Bennett, that guy Feen, or whatever his name, they were all on a panel, and Judge Klein kept throwing at Keala, well, what's your solution? What's your solution to? Well, Judge, I was the one that brought you onto becoming a part of this bank board, and you know as well as I do that the Native Hawaiian Bank is the solution right now at this time for Hawaiians to basically seek economic independence. And what I mean by that is because the bank is, see, with banks, there's two things real simple that our people need to know. The banks have what they call a capital leverage formula, and it's a 10-to-1 ratio. In other words, if we're sitting here right now and we decide to start a bank and we need $5 million, you know, just as an example.
Sure.
Now, when we clear all the different processes that we have to go through and open our doors, we now have $50 million to lend and invest in a community.
And how does that work? If we got invested $5 million, how did that grow to $50 million?
it's the capital leverage formula that banks in the United States use.
I see. So it's a part of
the whole system.
Of the banking system of America. Okay.
Right, yeah.
So those funds are provided to banks.
Well,
so the leverage is a 10
the
to 1
leverage is provided.
I see.
The formula is provided.
I see.
To utilize this type of
and
leverage.
these are insured banks, right? Federally
yeah, it would
insured
be,
deposits.
Yeah, because
on the $5
in order
million.
to pass, get your bank open, you got to pass all these,
sure.
All these regulations. And so I asked an individual who actually came here and helped us put together a draft bank plan, 17-page draft bank plan, and his name is Paul Holman. When he came into Hawaii, after realizing what he was saying, and I asked him, so you mean to say if Hoa got $300 million in First Hawaiian Bank, that's $3 billion? And he said, yeah, it's $3 billion leverage.
Wow.
And any Hawaiian that listening to this gotta realize or understand that $3 billion, then why are we in a situation we are today? Mm-hmm. Well, we're not controlling or we're not following our money. That's what it is. And it's simple. I mean, most Hawaiians only used to making deposits and cashing your check. That's about to the extent of it. And you have a few that, go through the whole thing and they become economists and they become bankers and all that. But to me, if Hawaiians today have, say, over $8 to $10 billion in banks that are not our own, that's $80 to $100 billion of leverage that's going out to help communities probably all over the world, right?
That's right.
And not just in our community, but all over the world. And I say that because First Hawaiian Bank is basically owned by Banque Nationale de Paris. It's a multinational corporation from France. Mm-hmm. Or you could say France owns that bank. Mm-hmm. And so if our people, and I think it's timely now, because 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, nobody was paying attention. The trusts and the foundations and the agencies were basically comfortable. There was no reason to even indulge any kind of idea about having your own Native Hawaiian owned and controlled bank. Mm-hmm. Well, today, it's timely. This is right. And I would really, point out to supporters of the Akaka bill that this has a bigger, much more better solution than anything that's on the table right now. First of all, simply because we owned it. We own the wealth that are in all these agencies and trusts. It's not being managed to our benefit. It's being managed to fulfill the charters of the banks, which basically goes back to the owners and shareholders of those banks.
And they're getting rich.
Yeah, they're getting rich, filthy rich. And so I believe that once our people catch on that, first of all, banks have this capital leverage formula. It's a 10 to 1 thing. And second, that you and every other Hawaiian over there can become a shareholder of that bank. Now the playing field is much more broad, and it's all field. And when I say field, I mean the wealth. The wealth belongs to our people. It's not being utilized to the fullest extent. It helps special interest groups, organizations that benefit, but not the overall.
You've done an excellent thing, which really was interesting on your website. And anybody who's interested in the website, it's bumpykanahele.com. So I encourage you to look at it.